Welcome to the Keep the Faith podcast. I am your host, and as you can see, I have all these beautiful guests with me today. I have Jocerlyn Robinson on, Nicole Dixon, and Miss Nicki Spears. Now, before we get started, of course, you guys know September is Sickle Cell Awareness Month. And before we get into that, I want to also take a moment of silence for those that we lost to sickle cell. And also, I got my pen on now. Don't y'all laugh at my shirt. My shirt a little faded, but I got my pen on. I don't know if y'all can see it. My pen with Michael Spears. I got my pen. You can't see it good, but I got my Michael Spears pen on because last year I participated in a sickle cell walk. So I'm gonna try to make it this Saturday, but I'm not exactly sure. But what I want to do, I want to take a moment of silence for Michael Spears and all of those that we lost due to sickle cell disease. Okay, thank you guys. And of course, I'm going to there's a huge event that's coming up this Saturday. Sickle Cell Walk is coming up. I'm going to actually let Nicole tell you guys about that. But before we do that, I want Jocerlyn to tell her experience with dealing with a loved one. But before she gets into that, Jocerlyn, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am from the big city of Pamlico, South Carolina. I live in Florence now. I am a fitness instructor. I've been doing that for about about 8-9 years now. Um, and I love what I do. I have classes on Sundays at Move with Coach T Gym on I'm sorry, 400 E South Boulevard, right off of Urban Street at 6 p.m. every Sunday. Um, that's it.
And then do you want to talk about your other classes too? You can mention that too if you
Oh,
want.
certainly. I have classes at Fitness World Gym, at the ladies gym on Mondays at 6:30 and Wednesday at 5:30.
Okay. Now, if anyone wants to reach out to you in regards to your fitness and it may have fitness questions, what is your social media handle in case they may need to get in contact with you or, want to enroll in some of your classes?
I am on Facebook as Jocerlyn A. Robinson and Instagram as J Motivated.
Okay, sounds good. Now, Jocerlyn, tell us your experience. You had a loved one with sickle cell. So, in your own words, tell us about that experience, what that experience was like.
Um, yes, my brother had sickle cell, and I can't say that it was a terrible experience because I remember all of the happy times that we were together. But I know I remember the first time that I recall hearing him have a crisis, and I jump now when I think about it because I didn't know what was going on, and I was like, Michael, why don't you shut up? I didn't know what was happening, and that bothers me to this day. But I mean, it's nothing fun to deal with, and watching him having to go through that. I prayed so many times that I could just take his pain away. um he went through so much in his 51 years, but he accomplished so much in his 51 years also. So we have to thank God for what it was, for who he was. um but all the times weren't bad. It was sad. It was hurtful watching him having to go through that, and there was nothing that we could do. And he used to go to doctors, and the doctors couldn't help, or they didn't understand, so they couldn't give him the best help. It is, and that's something that we need to be focusing on, getting the proper care for sickle cell patients so that they don't have to go to endure as much as they any more than they absolutely have to.
Okay. Now I'm gonna ask you this question. What is one of your fondest memories about your brother?
One of my fondest memories about um, my brother, I went to prom and he wasn't home when I left for prom. I told you I'm from Pamplico, South Carolina. So we lived in the country and he wasn't home when I left for prom. And my brother came to the restaurant to make sure that he saw me before I went to prom. And I will never forget that. I thought that was so awesome that he loved me that much that he took the time out to make sure he came to the restaurant to see me.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Now, what do you want people to remember about your brother?
Oh gosh, there's so much to remember about Michael. I guess remember his strength because all that he went through most days, I venture to say every day, my brother was in pain. But if you ask him how he was doing, he was gonna say, "Okay, I'm all right. I'm doing good." I'm sorry, y'all. My grandson.
You fine.
But yeah, he was gonna tell you he was okay, and he did not stop. So that is one thing to remember. Remember his strength and do like him and keep on pushing because he pushed through. He pushed through every day. He pushed through. He did. My brother drove himself to the hospital when he wasn't feeling bad, wasn't feeling good rather. So he was strong. I used to tell him that he was one of the strongest people that I know. He didn't feel that way, but I feel that way. So remember his strength and always keep pushing.
Wow, that's awesome. Now, Miss Spears, because you out and about, of course, you're going to be talking about Michael as well, but you're going to be coming from a spouse's perspective. But before you do that, before you tell your personal testimony in regards to Michael, tell us a little bit about Miss Spears.
My, again, my name is Nicki Spears. I'm an educator. I have been, I'm a school counselor. So I love my babies. So if any of my babies on and watching, hey, how you doing? I love the teachers too, but I love my babies. Um, so, and that's pretty much it. We had 4 beautiful children. So I'm a mom, uh, and I love sports.
Yeah,
My
I remember back in the day, the big hoop, doing them hoops. And tell us about your experience with coming from a spouse's perspective about talking about Michael.
um, Well, I dealt with Michael and I were married for 16 years, so I dealt with sickle cell for 16 years. Um, like I call her Lynn. I'm sorry, y'all. It's Jocelyn, but I call her Lynn. So, like she was saying, it really wasn't Michael. Would he made it easier as far as the caretaking part because he did not play about his health. So any little thing that was hurting or was different on him, he made sure that he took care of that and went to the doctor. So as far as, and I think that's why he carried himself so well because he always paid attention to his body, even though he was in pain. He always paid attention to his body. If something was different, like with us, we'll kind of wait and say, I'll wait around. Well, with him, he immediately took care of that. So my experience with that, like I said, it was fairly easy taking care of Michael because and then at the beginning, Michael was so educated in it and I wasn't, um because I listened to him. I was able to, when he wasn't able to, talk for himself, I was able to hold those conversations with different doctors. So as far as my experience, it wasn't hard. It wasn't hard. So like I said, he made it easier for he made it easier for me, as far as taking care of him. So he told me exactly what he needed, and even when he didn't, I kind of knew what to do as far as taking care of him.
Now, from a spouse's perspective, like when you going through the dating process, when you ask those probing questions, and he may have mentioned it in the dating process, did that scare you at all? Because a lot of times if we are in a relationship and they say, well, I have this, it
Right.
didn't scare you at all.
No, and actually he did tell me that, and even when it got to the point as far as marriage, before we talked about having children, I had to be tested for sickle cell to make sure that I did not have the trait, because that's where it comes from. It comes from your parents if they carry the traits, and if both parents carry the trait, your percentage of getting sickle cell would be higher. So
Right.
had siblings, but he was the only one actually. His siblings has the trait, but he was the only one that ended up with the disease. So when and he would kind of joke about it. He said, I'm the special one, that was I'm the special child because I have the disease.
Right. And
So
now I'm gonna add.
that he would take the negative part of it. If you listen to the worldly way, he would take that and make it into a positive. So he would say, yeah, I'm a special one because they wouldn't have been able to handle it. So God chose me.
Wow. That's awesome. I'm glad you shared that. Now, my question to you as a spouse, what do you want Michael's legacy to be?
Well, I want the people to be aware of sickle cell. One of the things that Michael also said, he said, if anybody ever said that I died of sickle cell, please correct them. I died of complications of sickle cell. So he was Michael words were very powerful, and how he said it was actually how he meant it. So he said, we don't die from the actual disease, we die from complications of the disease. So as far as his legacy, to me, anything that you have and you put God first and have a relationship with God, everything else will fall in place. So don't give up. He was a fighter. So we will continue to carry that legacy on. And like she said, with his strength, there were plenty of times when Michael had things to do and he was in pain, but he would go do those things first. And then he said, then we can go to the emergency room. Mm-hmm. So if he had to preach, we would go first and then we would go to the emergency room. But like I said, he had a lot of strength, and that's where, we kind of get that from, as far as, of course, the ultimate strength comes from God, but we get that strength from him. Just, when people say that you can't, you can show them that you can.
Right. And the crazy thing about it, whenever I saw him, I didn't even know that he was suffering, because he never complained, he never showed any weakness or anything. So I didn't know until like later on. And really, I think I found out probably the year prior to his passing. I didn't even know. I'm like, what? Because we actually been on, you remember a while back, I think it was a couple years ago, we did the Zoom with Janice. Mm-hmm. And we were on that Zoom, and I didn't know at that time. So I only found out like a year prior to his death. So he definitely exudes strength. And what? When I watched the videos of him preaching, it was powerful. Oh my God. Even watching the videos now, it's still, you know what I'm saying, are very powerful. So those are good memories to have. And the other question that
And I want to worry that there's always something for each of us to do. Like, for instance, Michael was tall, but he couldn't play. He didn't play athletics. I think, because back then they have so much things that they can do now or have the care. It's better care now. But he didn't play any sports, and he was tall, because most people would look and say, well, you tall, you didn't play any sports. No, he didn't, because of the sickle cell. But one thing that he did was he read a lot. So vocabulary was he could read. You would think Michael had like 4 degrees, but he was very educated. So he read a lot, because he was in the house. So he took advantage of that and books. I have plenty of books still, lots of books. I have a lot. But what I'm saying is, when people tell you that, I've said it already, but when people tell you that it can't, there's always something for us to do. That's why we're still here.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Now, coming from an educator slash spouse perspective, how important is it for those that may be in a relationship or have family members? And you can, Jocelyn, you can answer this question as well. How important is it for you to educate yourself about it? Because like you said, Nicki, you were able to speak for him when he couldn't, but there are those, because I know some people now that are in a relationship, but they're not taking the time to educate themselves. And I can only be on the outside telling them to educate themselves. But what can you say to that person that may have a family member or they're in a relationship with someone that's battling sickle cell? What do you tell them to encourage them to make sure they get the proper education so that they can, be able to do their own research about the disease? Those that don't even take the time to research it. What words would you give to them to encourage them to educate themselves?
Well, one is, if they're telling you that they're in pain, believe it. I mean, sickle cell doesn't just show on the outside. They're in pain in their bones, in their joints. So if they're telling you, I mean, even with like the kids in school, if they're saying that they're in pain, because with sickle cell, they can be up today, tomorrow morning, they can be tired, they don't want to move. So it's like, if somebody tells you that they're in pain or they're tired, believe them if they have sickle cell. So just because the teacher that or not just a teacher or anyone to say, well, I just saw them yesterday, yeah, they were fine, but a crisis can come on at any time. So if they're telling you that they're in pain, then believe that. They go to in the past, I don't know how it is now, but in the past, they go to the doctor or the ER and, they need something for pain. It was like, no, they're not in pain, we don't want to give it to them, or like a junkie or something. But that's not true. They're in pain and they need something to help with that pain, to ease that pain. So because their red blood cells are sickling, whereas ours are normal, they're sickle up and it's not flowing through the body. So that causes pain as far as in their bodies.
I'm glad you said that, because I've read somewhere where there was a child that had sickle cell, and the other kids was like, you're not in pain. Like, they thought that the child was actually exaggerating the pain. It was like, no, you were just playing yesterday. You was fine. Just like you said, you was fine. But now, I'm glad you pointed that out, because a lot of times they think that they're faking when that's not even the case. Because I actually worked with Nicki. I don't know if you know, and Nick and Nicole, y'all might have heard of him. But y'all remember back in the day, there was a radio personality by the name of Charlie G. Do y'all remember Charlie G? And see, he suffered from sickle cell. There were times where he would do his late night show and he was fine. And then the next week, he may be in the hospital. Right. So I was with him doing, some of those nights when I'll be working late and he'll be fine. We'd be talking and laughing. And then the following week, he's in the hospital. Mm-hmm. So they, like you said, those crises can come out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. And Jocerlyn, what is your answer to that same question? Well, how do you answer that question to encourage someone to get the education if they have a loved one or a spouse that's dealing with sickle cell?
Just letting them know that it'll be easier if they educate themselves, so they do know what's going on. They can be better support to their loved one if they know what's happening with them. And you can't help if you don't know what's going on. So, right. And just like Nicki said earlier, where she had to speak for Michael a lot of times when he was in crisis and in the hospital, because those doctors and nurses, they don't love our people like we love them. So they're there for a paycheck. So you got to stay on top of them and make sure they're doing everything that they need to do in order to make sure that your loved one gets the care that they need. So
Okay.
we have to be advocates for our loved ones.
Absolutely. And before I'm gonna let Nicole talk about the event that's coming up on Saturday, before we get into Nicole talking about the event, because I know Nicole all nervous. Nicole ready. You stay ready, ain't it? But before we get to Nicole, any final words from you, Jocerlyn or Nicki? Any final words that you would like to share in regards to sickle cell?
Just if you've never been tested, be tested to know where you stand as far as sickle cell goes, whether you have the trait. Make sure that anyone that you are considering having children with gets tested so that you know how the ratio is for your possible future children, because that's something my brother was adamant about. Don't let another child go through what he had to go through. So be tested, know your status and know your partner's status, and tell other people about it. Because unfortunately, there's not enough people don't even think about sickle cell. I've been hearing more on like the radio and stuff now, so the word is kind of getting out a little bit better, but there's not enough talk about it. We need more chatter.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Nicki, your final thoughts?
I'll just piggyback on what my sister said. Just make sure that you're aware of that. And with most being an advocate for sickle cell disease, if the people that have the disease say what they're saying, believe them. Research it yourself. They're trying to get more medicine. There are some of the doctors that Michael has dealt with, they actually just study sickle cell. So he has some, he didn't he couldn't, I mean, well, he not couldn't could not, but he went to Charlotte and to as far as his doctor, because that particular doctor specialized in sickle cell. So it was a difference. I pray and hope that one day we can get more, that where we can have a doctor that specializes in sickle cell here. And then, most of the patients, they don't have to travel, because it's like one or two that I know from around here in this area that actually went to Charlotte to that particular doctor. So the more we talk about it, the more they can do around here. And if you have it, and what I do see for the most part, most people with sickle cell, I'm not gonna say all, but some of the ones that I know, they don't like to be in the spotlight about it, for the most part, because they don't want people to treat them any different.
Mm-hmm.
That's the main thing. They don't want people to treat them any different. They can do most of the same stuff that you can do. It's just that they may have to step back a minute. They may get tired quicker, but they can still do it if they continue to get the proper care that they need. So just be aware of that and just spread the word about sickle cell um, disease, and hopefully and prayerfully we can get some more doctors in this area.
I'm glad you said that because I was not aware of that. That there are not any doctors locally that specialize. And the thing about that is, when you're in a crisis, Charlotte is what? Charlotte is like is that like a 2? I ain't been to Charlotte in a while. Is that like a 2-hour drive?
Almost.
Mm-hmm.
So
Almost.
he is having a crisis in pain. He got to travel for 2. Oh my goodness.
Well, for
We
the most
definitely.
part, you go to the doctor, the ER around here, but I mean, like I said, you got to be an advocate for it. And once we got there, I made sure that they contacted his doctors. But
Yeah.
oncologists that deal with the blood, but it's just something about somebody that just specialize in that particular disease that you have. So
Right. Because they'll know how to properly treat it. You definitely need someone. We definitely need people in the area. And of course, we have the event that's coming up this coming Saturday. Have Miss Nicole Dixon on is going to tell us about the event that's coming up, the sickle cell walk that's coming up. Tell us about the event that's coming up this coming Saturday.
Well, this is our 10th year. Delta partner with James R. Clark for the Sickle Cell Walk. This is our 10th year. We're going to be at Broad Street this year. We will start at 10. Registration will open up at 9 a.m. where we'll probably do Zumba. Um, Probably talk about our two ambassadors, which is Sean Elderby and Ms. Rudel DeBose. And then we'll go on our walk and do breakfast.
Okay. And this year, are you guys also doing the t-shirts as well?
Yes. We have a link that you can we still have, I think I'm out of extra large, but I still have every other shirt.
Okay. So actually those that are watching or may catch the replay, I did post a link in the comment section. So make sure you click on the link if you want to attend. The link will take you directly to Eventbrite. So you'll have the link. And actually, what is the cost? Like if you do the shirt, what is the cost for that? And is there like, because I think there was a cutoff date last year. Is the shirt selling up until Saturday morning?
Yeah, we probably sell all day because we ordered some extra.
Okay.
So we'll probably sell until we run out.
Okay. Now, those of you, I know some of y'all don't have nothing to do Saturday. So if you're not doing anything Saturday morning, make sure you get out there. It's actually for a good cause. And I'm trying to check my schedule because I was actually asked to do so many things Saturday. So I'm not exactly sure at this point if I'll be able to make it. But I'm definitely. Yeah. Saturday, it's like there's like four or five different things going on Saturday. And I was like 3 different things that I was supposed to do. Not y'all, I got to check my calendar, see what I'm supposed to be doing. But if I can, I'm going to try to definitely make it out because I really enjoy myself. Now, last year, I said I was going to go do a walk around a couple of laps. Man, I ended up staying the whole day. I think I was there to y'all shut it down.
Yeah, you got to clean up.
Listen, y'all trying to get me to clean up, but y'all had a young folk to come in, so they was able to handle it. But I had so much fun. And then what I did too last year, because I ended up staying the entire time, I went live a lot. So I did live when I was walking. I did live talking to people. I went live when Jocerlyn was doing Zumba. I know people got sick of me last year because I kept going live by every 5 minutes. But it was such an amazing event. But I really, like Jocerlyn said, I want people to be educated about this illness because we don't talk about it enough. And like I said, it came to the forefront for me once I discovered I had family members that was dealing with it. I'm like, what going on with them? Because like matter of fact, one of my cousins I talked to earlier today, he lives in Florida. And actually at a later date, I'm going to try to get him on, but he actually lives in Florida. I remember talking to him one day, he was fine. The next day, he's in a hospital. I'm like, what happened? So it's very important that we get tested because we test for, I'm gonna raise my hand because I'm guilty. I test for everything else, but I'm not going to even lie. I didn't last year. Matter of fact, Charlene advised me, Tora, get tested. Y'all, I ain't got tested yet for sickle cell. I ain't gonna lie, but I get tested for everything else. But I ain't gonna lie,
I did mine like 2 years ago.
Listen, I've yet to do it. I think it's a sin. I think I need to go ahead and do it because I keep putting. And then the thing was, Charlene told me last year. She mentioned it, and then I had someone else, Claudette. She was actually one of the vendors that was set up last year. She also encouraged me, and y'all, I ain't did it yet, but I'm gonna do it. I ain't did it yet, but I'm gonna do it. And y'all see I'm getting country, so that means it's time to cut off. I don't have at all. But anyway, I'm gonna get it done. But Nicole, what time it starts again? The registration. And the link, you guys that are watching, there is the link in the comments where you click on the link and it'll take you directly to Eventbrite, so you'll have your tickets for the event. But Nicole, what time it starts? Tell again the time it starts, the duration of all day, and also the time registration starts as well.
It starts at 10. We probably do a presentation for our ambassadors, which is Sean Elderby and Ms. Rudel DeBose. Then we probably break out in the Zumba and do our walk around Florence and come back and do breakfast. Okay. So it probably will be like 10 to 12, I'm thinking, at the longest. Okay. It shouldn't be that long. But registration opens up at 9 o'clock.
Okay. Now, Nicole, you said walk around Florence. Wait a minute. How far y'all walking in
Uh-oh.
Florence?
Uh-oh.
I think we
Don't
walked
turn the
up.
people out.
Wait a minute. We walked up Barn Street, I think down McQueen, and back down. I can't remember the road, but it's like a
It's not,
block. Ain't that long?
Listen, y'all know I'm out of shape now.
it's not that.
I am too.
But y'all, it's for y'all know I'm joking, but it's for a good cause. And like I said, if I'm able to, I'm definitely gonna come. Even if I don't stay, I'll try to get there. At a rate. And those of you that may not, I will say this also: if you are not able to attend this event this coming Saturday, you can also donate, because there are people last year that wasn't able to attend but they still donated, so you can get the t-shirt. You can get the t-shirt, or even not get the t-shirt, but still it's for a worthy cause, so you could definitely donate. Even if you're not able to make it, you can definitely donate this event, because the proceeds is for a worthy cause. So we're trying to, and as of right now I pulled up some statistics, and I think it said now, Nicki may know, since Nicki did some research, and Jocerlyn may know since y'all did some research. I pulled up something that says the NHLBI is leading and supporting research and clinical trials to find a cure for sickle cell disease. But as of right now, correct me if I'm wrong, there's no cure for it at this time, but they're still doing research for it, correct?
Yeah, I think they have like a bone marrow, but I think it's like for the younger age that you can get like a bone marrow, and that kind of helps. But I don't want to put no false information out there. But I do know, reading up on something about a bone marrow.
Oh, you know what? I'm glad you said that. Let me go back early. Okay, it says sickle cell disease is a lifelong illness. A bone marrow transplant. A bone marrow transplant is currently the only cure for sickle cell disease. Gene therapy is also explored as another potential cure, but there are also other effective treatments that can reduce symptoms and prolong life. If you have sickle cell disease, your healthcare team will work with you on a treatment plan to reduce your symptoms and manage the condition. So yeah, you're right, Nicki. That is the bone marrow transplant is currently the only cure for sickle cell. Okay, but you said it's for, because it doesn't specify doesn't specify age, so it's basically for the younger kids, correct?
I think it's for like it's a certain age right now. I think it is. But it's not like if you're over 35 or something. But like I said, don't quote me on that. But I've read that somewhere before.
Okay. Well, I thank you all for taking time out of your schedule. And also I want to, because I forgot to say this at the beginning as well, I also want to show love to a friend of mine, Fatim. He's from New York, but he's in South Carolina. He recently lost his wife. I want to say she passed away, I want to say about 2, maybe 3 months ago this year. So I want to send my love out to him as well, because she actually passed away from complications of sickle cell. And that's another person that I watched with sickle cell that never complained at all. So it's something to watch their strength. It's something. But thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedule. And you guys that are not doing anything Saturday, make sure you click on the link so you can attend. It starts at 10 o'clock. And 10 o'clock is actually a good time, because I think last year, Nicole, did you guys start earlier last year? Because it seemed like I was at about 8, ain't it? Look at
we
me.
Pushed the time back. We pushed the time back.
Because I was. Go ahead, Jocelyn. You gonna say something?
Let me say this too. If you don't give blood regularly, give blood, because sickle cell patients often need transfusions. So give blood if you're able.
And I think, I'm glad you said that, Jocelyn, but I'm trying to think. I got a different type of blood. I think I have rare blood or something.
You have O positive.
I don't know. All I know is they told me it was rare.
She know.
Actually, I think positive is kind of like common with. I think they can.
Yeah.
You start getting into that because I'm on live.
But like Jocelyn said, if you're able to make sure you give blood because the patients need that. Yeah. So Nicole, with the event that's coming up, any final thoughts you like to share? And Nicole, oh my bad, Nicole, I didn't even ask you what you do. I just told you to start talking about it. You do other things besides this. What else do you do? Tell the people. Nicole.
I am very active in the community. I'm in different organizations.
What's the organization? You know, I'm gonna put you on the spot. What's the organization that you a part of that you guys do the Little Black Dress Initiative?
The Junior League of Florence.
Thank you. And other things, like she said, she's a. Go ahead, Nicki.
I'm an advocate of my community. Yeah. I am an advocate of my community.
It's the Florence Alumni chapter of Delta Sigma Theta is sponsor for the Sickle Cell Walk. Am I saying that right, Nicole? Or partners?
Yeah.
Yes, for the Sickle Cell.
Okay. And this is, and you said what chapter? What chapter of Florence chapter?
Mm-hmm. Yes, of Delta Sigma Incorporated.
And Hartsville.
Oh, and Hartsville. I'm sorry. Yes, and Hartsville.
Okay. And this is the 10th year. You guys have been doing this 10 years. Wow. That's awesome. That's awesome. So Deltas are, continue to keep up the great work that you guys are doing. Like I said, this is for a worthy cause. I look forward to it. Like I said, I'm going to see if I can, what I obligated myself to.
And I'm going to keep you out there all day with me again.
We're gonna see. But let me tell you, I'll tell y'all this off the air. So we're gonna sign off, and then I want y'all to hold out. I want y'all to hang on because I got to, because I'll tell y'all, I'm about to say something, but I'll tell y'all off the air. But thank you guys for taking time out of your schedule. Those of you that may just be joining the podcast, make sure you watch the replay. Make sure you share this podcast and make sure you educate yourself about sickle cell. I'm actually going to be one of those people that are going to be talking about it more. So we're going to definitely get the word out. But if you guys are not doing anything Saturday, make sure you come out for the sickle cell away. Nicole, what is, because I forgot to write it down. What is the correct name for it? It's like, that's like a whole viable. It's the 10th annual viables. What's the full name?
Visible and Viable. The 10th annual Sickle Cell Visible and Viable community event.
Okay. And it is this coming Saturday, September the 30th. And you can actually, like I said, if you're not able to attend the event, make sure you make a donation. And if you make that donation, you can still get a t-shirt, even if you're not at the event. Because sickle cell is not just for September. Even though September is sickle cell awareness, there are those that are battling with the illness, the disease all year round. So make sure you support it. It's for a worthy cause. And I'd like to thank you all for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you comment, like, share. And if you missed the beginning, go back and watch the replay. And thank you, Jocerlyn, Nicki, and Nicole. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. And I want y'all guys to hang on a second so I can talk to y'all after we sign off. But I want to thank everyone for watching the Keep the Faith podcast. Thank you for all that are, that support me. Thank you so much for the love. I really appreciate you guys. And as I always do at the end of every podcast, I always say, whatever you go through in this thing called life, you may bend, but don't you dare break. Always remember to always keep the faith. And we're out. Peace. You have a great evening. Peace out, y'all.